Hi, this is Joseph Warren, and I wanted to welcome you to my new show called Broken Catholic. And this episode 000, is really just a chance for me to share a little bit about myself, so that you get to know me. Find out about what the show is going to be about, the vision for the show, the direction I'm headed in, what's the value that you're going to get as a listener, and the other basics, like how often the show will happen, the length of the show, and the mission of the show itself. So I just want to take a few minutes to do that. First off, thanks for clicking on this first episode. I really do appreciate that. This is something we're going to build together. I think we can all agree that the world isn't working right now, and it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or non-Catholic, if you're Christian or you're atheist. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, if you're a woman or a man. It doesn't matter if you're old or young. I think we can all agree the world isn't working. And we know this because of all the hatred and the divisiveness, all the labels that we give each other that keep us all really feeling separate and alone. And this podcast is me, one person, an ordinary man, just taking a stand for a world that works. A world that is full of three things, really. Love, forgiveness, and transformation. And that starts with ourselves. And that has been my entire life. Those three words could be summed up in that. And, it started back when, I came from a very broken home myself, and divorce when I was 8.5 years old, and my parents did the best they could with what they had. Eventually they broke. The marriage broke. And there I was, one of 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls, and I was 8.5 years old, kind of in the middle there, middle child, and all of a sudden, my happy childhood just got turned upside down. And it was in that moment that my parents announced to me that, they were separating, they were splitting, and the family was splitting, and that we had to choose a side. And I was 8.5, and I had to choose mommy or daddy to spend the rest of my life with. And that wasn't easy at all. And I think right there I made an unconscious decision as a little boy that, I wasn't going to love. I wasn't going to love anyone, because what does it get you? Here I was thinking that my family loved me, my parents loved me, and it was over. It was ended. At least that's how I saw it as a little boy. And that love was fake. It was a lie. It was all a lie. So why even try? And I carried that belief system, that very limiting belief system, from a little boy into a young adult. And my entire life was about me and my self-centeredness and doing what was right for me. And really just going out into the world wanting 3 things. I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, and I want to be successful. And I pursued business, and I did okay in business. At age 19, I created with some partners. We started a professional fundraising company for national nonprofit charities, and we busted our butts. I worked 110 hours a week, and within our first 12 months, we raised $2 million. And we said, what the heck did we just build? And then we went ahead and did that in multiple cities. And my partners were really the brains of the operation. I didn't have any business experience whatsoever, but I had so much hunger, so much drive. And I know some of you listening to this right now, you have that same hunger and drive because you come from pain, you come from struggle, you come from brokenness, just like I did. And you want a better life for yourself. And that's really what the show is going to focus on. But let me continue on here. So I went and we did well in business, and I started to party, and I eventually burnt out of the business probably about 4.5 years in, just all the 110 hours of work per week and some partner issues, and I just left. prematurely with no plan. And I retired. I went through some downtime and depression and loneliness, and just with that crazy change in my life. And years later, I got back up and I semi-retired for 5 years in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I partied. I partied really hard, and that included so many things that you can imagine. I don't need to go into detail, but my life was 5 nights a week, out partying, girls, alcohol, just a lot of wasting my life, wasting my money. And it came to a head when within 2 weeks, God reached into my life and he pulled me out of the darkness. And I'd gotten real bad into some deep stuff, and I had gotten into just real darkness. And I was almost murdered twice, and God spared my life. Within 2 weeks, I lost all my money remaining. I lost my cars. I lost my place where I lived. I lost my friends, so-called friends, who were around me for one reason. And even my girlfriend dumped me on my birthday. And that all happened within a 2-week time frame. And I know it wasn't me. I know I hadn't caused that. Yes, I caused it by my choices, but that it all happened within 2 weeks was too coincidental. And they say coincidence is God merely choosing to remain anonymous. And God reached into my life, and he pulled me out of the darkness, and he smacked me upside the head with a 2x4 because I was headed towards death. And he had spared me twice already. And I'm his son, and he didn't want that for me. He has a future for me. And that's the message, really, that I want to share with each of our listeners, is that you're a son or a daughter of God the Father, and he has a special plan for your life. And no matter where you find yourself in the darkness, the darkest corners that you couldn't even imagine that you would ever be, but yet there you are. God is still there. God is loving on you. And that was that first chapter of my life, was God's love. And he brought me out of that. I was the one sheep out of the 99. He left the 99 to come and find me, and he'll do the same for you. And there's a reason why you're listening to this episode right now, and that's God reaching out to you, right? You're that one sheep, that lost sheep, and God loves you enough to come just for you. And after he showed me his love, and then he forgave me. Right? God's forgiveness showed up in my life, and he forgave me for all those things that I had done wrong, all those people I used and hurt, just the wreckage I left behind me in my self-centered pursuit of health, wealth, and happiness and success. And he forgave me, and I learned how to forgive myself, and I learned how to forgive others that also hurt me. And then he brought me into this new chapter of my life that I still find myself in, which is transformation. So we had stage 1 was love, God's love for me. Stage 2, God's forgiveness. And stage 3, God's transformation over my life. And he wanted to create in me a new man, to take me from that self-centered, hurt little wounded boy and create in me a heart for his people, for his children, so that I could bring them to him, and that he could do for them exactly what he did for me. And that's the purpose of this podcast. And I want to give you just that little background so that you know that whatever I share with you going forward in these following episodes, this is coming from a real, authentic place, a deep place in my heart, a life of pain and struggle, a life of selfishness and godlessness. At those moments in my life, I gave up God. I didn't want God in my life. I was an atheist, and I felt I could do it on my own. Because after all, what does love get you? What does God get you? It just creates pain, right? That was the belief system I was living in. And, God brought me out of that, and now I'm moving forward with this. And my goal is to transform lives the way God transformed my life. And that's what I want to do for you as a listener. I want to stand for you winning in life. Stand for you having a transformation so big that anyone who meets you on the street and saw you yesterday no longer recognizes you today, because your transformation is so large, because God has done so much in your life. And this podcast is going to be about that, right? It's also going to be about, I like to say it this way. Everyone loves to hear about super holy people such as Mother Teresa or Pope John Paul II, but we struggle to relate to them because 90% of us are broken, and we wrestle week after week with feelings of emptiness, loneliness, or depression. I know I did. But we don't have to. God doesn't want that for us. So in the show, I'm going to interview practicing Catholics, non-Catholics, and even recovering Catholics about why the world isn't working right now. And I'm going to tackle unspeakable topics that many of us secretly struggle with, but we won't admit. Plus, I'll share encouraging stories to lift you out of the dirt and put you back on your feet. See, because I'm a broken Catholic myself and I'm a former atheist, and in the show I'll share sometimes humiliating struggles from my own life in my attempt to be a modern Catholic man. And it's freaking hard. I don't have it all figured out. I'm a work in progress just like you, and that's okay. So where I'm going to take the show is, parts of it I want to take out onto the streets. So I'm going to first start with, in the beginning, it will be a weekly podcast. The length of it will be anywhere from, I would say, 30 minutes to 1 hour. And I've already recorded a few of those interviews, and so far so good. So 30 minutes to an hour once a week. However, I see myself even increasing that into a daily show as we get going. And the daily part would be me going out on the street, out into the public, and with a mic and my podcasting equipment, and just interviewing everyday folks about why the world isn't working right now and their place in that. See, because I believe that the reason why the world isn't working right now is because of me, and it's because of you, because we're playing small, we're playing safe, and we're not standing for a world that works. We're not standing for love. We're not standing for forgiveness, and we're definitely not standing for transformation in our own lives or in the lives of others. And that's why the world doesn't work. Instead, we label each other and we keep each other small. We keep each other with the face in the mud. And we don't have to. This freedom that God wants for us. Our Father in heaven loves us so much. So much. Loves each of us. And He wants more for us. And we're powerful beyond measure. And we need to recognize that. And that's where I'm ahead with the show. So you're looking at a weekly show about an hour in length to start. And then moving into that same 1 hour interview, which would be a deep dive into specific topics. But then in between, the other 5 to 6 days a week would be out on the street, me interviewing people for 5 minutes, just a daily 5-minute clip of why is the world not working right now and what's their part in that. And I'm excited about this, and I look forward to this. And I look forward mostly to what God's going to do in my life and what God's going to do in your life. And I look forward to hearing the stories of love showing up in your life and the stories of forgiveness, how you finally forgave that person that you've been holding forgiveness back from for way too long. You know who that person is right now, don't you? And I'm standing for your transformation. I'm standing for you winning in life. So that's what we're going to do. That's what the show's all about. I think I covered everything on this that I wanted to on this episode 000. And I also am going to say this, right? We're going to have fun. Deep down, I like to joke. I'm still a boy, Yes, I'm a grown man, but I'm still this playful spirit. I'm young, I'm youthful, I'm happy, I'm energetic, and I'm going to bring out my real personality. And sometimes that's going to look maybe immature. Sometimes that's going to look, too playful, right? Why is he acting that way? And why is he joking so much? This is serious topics. We're talking about serious, religion, or serious topics like suicide and other things that we're struggling with. Well, I believe humor and levity can lighten up those really serious topics. And I think we learn most when we're having fun. So we're going to have fun on the show, and that I commit to. keeping it fun, keeping it light, even though we're discussing really serious topics. So I want to say this. I don't know you right now, but I love you. Why? Because you're my brother and sister, because we have the same Father in heaven. So I look forward to moving forward with the show. Welcome to Broken Catholic. Again, please go ahead and subscribe to the show if you haven't yet. Rate the show, review the show, and share the show with other people in your life. And it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or non-Catholic, if you agree with my opinions or you disagree with my opinions. The point is this. Let's remove the labels. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about why the world isn't working and how we can stand for a world that works. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you on episode 1.